Self-Publishing Podcast, episode number 162.
This episode of the Self-Publishing Podcast is brought to you by 99 Designs. The online marketplace helps you get outstanding book cover designs at an affordable price. Start your custom design today at 99designs.com/SPP and enjoy a free Power Pack upgrade valued at $99.
Welcome to the Self-Publishing Podcast, where if you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. And now, here are your hosts, sometimes known as the Shill, the Nose, and the Yeti, Johnny, Sean, and Dave.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Self-Publishing Podcast, the podcast that follows three full-time authors as we attempt to change the face of indie publishing. Join us and our trailblazing guests as we shove aside boundaries, freely experiment, and occasionally screw up. I'm Johnny B. Truant, and my co-hosts, as always, are Sean Platt and David Wright. And Dave was just like 2 minutes later than we expected today, and Sean and I were like, well, we are going to talk about autoresponders and email.
Maybe
so
he just bailed.
Maybe Dave doesn't want to be there. And I was thinking, well, we could just start without him, and then he could come in and mock us. And but somebody would have to do that 99 Designs copy, and I was trying to think, do I know it well enough that I could? I could pull it off. That would be kind of fun. Do you think they'll pay us more if we go ahead and do it again, if I try it out now? No?
Maybe. We could throw them a freebie, though.
So here's the deal, guys. Last night, we did an Ask Us Anything. Last night, by live standards, we did an Ask Us Anything, and Sean and Dave were going to stay on and answer some questions after I had to bail. And since I was the host, it promptly stopped the hangout, and Sean and Dave probably talked to nothing for several. In other words, it was probably like Sean talking to a lot of people, where they just tuned out and walked away.
It was exciting.
So Sean and Dave, well, I suppose, although I was already out of it. So, fuck turtles, basically. We're gonna answer the questions that didn't get answered yesterday. They're just at the beginning of the show here. So you're on. Take it away.
Okay. I'm not sure which ones we freaking answered, so hopefully you guys...
Wait, I have this one. Hold on, I can ask this one. Dave, when is Sterling & Stone going to buy you headphones with adjustable volume?
You bastards.
Send me the link. I will send it to you the next day. Please.
All right. I can't remember if this is one that got answered or not. Carrie McQuaid says, I'm just wondering what you said about going wide in the beginning. Is that part of discovery? So my question is, did going wide help you find what worked and what didn't? Were there projects you abandoned after a couple of years of experience?
I think that's the one that was the first one we answered after.
By going wide, we're going to multiple stores, in other words, right?
Yeah.
No, I think she meant going wide as in genre hopping.
That actually makes more sense with the question. I was trying to figure out how going to different stores was going to help with our
I think she meant that. So the way I answered that last night is just, well, I don't think there's anything we've entirely abandoned. There are boxes that we need to close later, and I think it taught us storytelling in a really cool way. I think it made us willing to be really experimental. Like, it'd be a lot harder to greenlight Unicorn Western, right now, today. But I'm so grateful.
Dave, resist the joke.
But I'm really grateful for Unicorn Western. As grateful for Unicorn Western as anything else I've ever written. I love that story, but more, I love what it taught me about storytelling. And so I think going wide and being kind of unafraid really, really helped that formative time of Sterling & Stone in general and Realm and Sand specifically. And there are a few things that, like the LOLs, with Everyone Gets Divorced and Greens, and there's a few things there that we would like to revisit later, but we're in no hurry to. Same with, Namaste. But so there's nothing really that we've abandoned. There's stuff that it doesn't make a lot of sense to circle back to right now until we can really afford to give it attention because we want to, basically.
Okay, Thomas Bennett asked, since the price of your books has gone up to $4.99, are you noticing you make more money, less money, or about the same? I don't need specifics. It was never lower than $4.99.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Actually, $5.99.
Depends on the book.
A lot.
Yeah, I don't understand the question because there's never been anything that we've raised to $4.99. I mean, we have stuff that is like $2.99. Cursed is a good example. The Future of Sex is a good example. But those are really short form, so we would never raise those to $4.99. And our full books tend to be $4.99. Our full seasons that are a little longer are $5.99. So our price ranges really vary based on the content. But there hasn't been anything that's raised, so I'm not sure how to answer that.
I think I could be wrong about this, but the way I understood the spirit of that question, because I saw that one last night in the YouTube comments, and this may or may not be what Thomas means, but I think that we have defaulted to a little higher price. And I think that in the past, we've been doing this Sean and Dave have been doing it for about 5 years now, and I guess I've been doing it for a little under 4. I think that we've shied away a little bit more from, like, for instance, launching at 99 cents, that sort of thing. Sean and I were actually slacking about this today, and so this could be sort of the spirit of the question, and like just kind of debuting at a higher price and just kind of keeping a slightly higher price. We aren't seeing nearly as many $2.99s. We aren't saying, well, let's launch at this, let's do 99 cents, except for a big promotion. And I kind of feel like there's a fine line to walk where you want to price your stuff to sell in order to move as many units as possible, and that's all obviously an individual decision. But I also think that we kind of, like, I don't know, this is maybe a little grandiose, but I kind of feel the need to, I don't know, stand up as indies and be like, you know what, we are worth what some of these other stories are worth. I was saying today that to Sean that watching the Apple charts, like the stuff that tops that are the pro things, like the Game of Thrones bundle, which is what the first 3 books or something is like. Yeah, it's like $20. Now, I'm not comparing us to George R. R. Martin or anything, and those are 3 very long books. But my point is, pro publishers don't do that sort of thing. And I know that we're indies, we're not the same people, but being a pro means sort of saying, you know what, my art is.
What are we working towards? What are we trying to accomplish? What is our end game? And I think those are really, that 99-cent flash sale. It's a little short term. And
well, wait, but clarify that, because we just did an Invasion book club at 99 cents.
Well, I think it's with anything, you just have to know what you're trying to accomplish. What is your outcome? What is your purpose? I think that's always the question you want to ask. And
I ask myself that every day.
And don't just do stuff because everybody else is doing it, or because, I mean, just understand the why on stuff is all.
Okay, I have one more question. I think there were more, but some of them vanished from the comments thread, so we'll hit it next time if you ask again. Anyway, Lori Wostel, I think is how you say her name, on the Ask Us Anything yesterday, you referred us to sterlingandstone.net with a class Scrivener for Beats. Can't find it.
That is on Udemy. I'm not sure if we still have that or ever had it on Sterling and Stone. Do you know?
No, we never had it on Sterling and Stone. We will.
Yeah. If you go to Udemy, udemy.com, and you search Scrivener for Beats, I imagine you'll find it there without a problem.
We will do another Ask Us Anything probably the last week of June, and we'll answer every question that comes in, or as long as we can stay, unless it runs too late. But to our credit, we were pretty efficient last night. We stayed on topic and we got through a lot of questions.
We did. We're slowly improving. All right. So what else we got? So do you want to just briefly mention the Master Beats forum thing again? Because we mentioned that last night, but that isn't the true full SBP audience.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So Seth, you'll remember him from a few episodes ago when we were talking about the Master Beats app. Seth and his partner will be building that glorious whatever when later this year. And right now he's just kind of crowdsourcing a lot of ideas. This is kind of, right now it's being built on our kind of master framework that we would personally want, but we realize we're not our audience exactly, and so you guys will have a lot of input there. So we're trying to get the very basics for a minimum viable product, and there's a forum set up at Sterling and Stone, so it's just sterlingandstone.net. You need a free account to access the forums there, but it's just...
Yeah, are forums in the nav bar? Is it obvious where the forums are?
Yeah, you just go to log in, and then there's a little drop-down menu, and you click on forums, and you have to log in. But again, you just need an email address, and then you can access the forums. I think they're just called Masterbeats forums, and you can go there, and there's going to be feature suggestions and conversations and things like that. So anyway.
We want to make the product that this entire community or the indies in general want most, and so we need your help. Seth will be in there, sort of fielding comments, moderating, that sort of thing. All right. Well, that was easy. So I do have a few voicemails before we get to topic, or we can hit what's older, what's got seniority, the document. Do you know?
Yeah, we do have a few things on the doc. I could bring that up.
Do you want me to play a voicemail while
play
we're?
A voicemail while I get it. That'd be great.
All right. So has to do with writer's block here. Let me go ahead and play this.
It's no writer's block.
Hey guys, this is Tom Bennett. I actually have two questions for you. The first is my friend Brian has tons of photographs and artistic things and whatnot that he would like to be able to sell online. And I know that you guys write books, but I was wondering if you had any suggestions about how to get started selling art and things online. And then also, just something I've thought of asking you, but I've never seen you or touch on it. Do you guys ever get writer's block? And if so, what do you do when you get writer's block? Because during Fiction Unboxed, you went away for 2 hours and then came back and had a better idea. So I was wondering, is that just basically your process when you're not trying to write something really fast? That you just go away and think about it and come back and, be awesome. So thanks. Appreciate it.
If you guys are paying attention to Thomas's question there was a frightening period of 2 hours wherein we experienced some writer's block.
And they left and they furiously masturbated and then came back full of ideas.
Let it not be said that we don't have writer's block. We had it for 2 hours once.
Empty scrotum, full ideas. That's my
I actually have it right now for a scene I'm doing right now for Yesterday's Gone this week. There is a heavy action sequence, and I basically
don't let me near that.
Well, I was just going to make that joke.
I basically written the characters into an almost impossible to get out of situation, and I'm trying to find the best way to get them out without making it completely unbelievable or using any of the other methods we've used before. I don't know if that's writer's block so much.
Yeah, I don't think that's writer's block. I think that's writing yourself into a corner and you kind of have to puzzle your way out. I think that's a little different. I think writer's block is when I can't write, and I know that this isn't a widely agreed upon thing, but I just don't believe in that. I think that if you can't write, it's because you're probably writing the wrong thing and you're just not that excited about it, and pick something else to write.
Get up and leave. Take a walk or something. Do anything other than writing, and there's a good chance you might want to write. When I go somewhere and I can't write, like if I'm with family or something, right, and I have to talk to people, I want to write more than anything. So put yourself in a position where you can't write, and then maybe you'll be like, oh shit, idea, and then you'll rush home and do it.
I totally agree with Dave. I think it's just resistance speaking, and you just have to be better than resistance. And again, not many professions get the easy out of I have block.
I don't feel like digging this ditch today. I'm not inspired.
Right. I have two comments on that actually. So one on writer's block and one on the tricky situation. So I don't know if this really counts as writer's block stuff, but I've been writing the Beam season 3. And there was a thing that came up today where I didn't quite know how to puzzle it out, but it was brief. It was just a scene that I wasn't sure how to handle. And there's been a lot of those because the Beam is something where things diverge in many different directions. There's all these different lines. And so I don't know that this won't be applicable to everything, obviously. It may be unique to sort of a multi-storyline book. But I just started saying, well, what can I tie together? What's something we left hanging, and then how can I tie it in? So if you've read The Beam, it was a Stephen York scene. And so he touches a few other characters. There are a few other people that his storyline touches. And so I would say, well, how could I tie him into this thing where we left hanging over here with Dominic or something like that? And by just saying, what haven't I touched base with in a while, I came up with what I think is a really cool scene that I'm eager for Sean to read. So that's one. And then the second is, this is just more of a comment than anything else, but those tricky situations where people don't where you don't know how you're going to get out of them. I love those. I don't know if I have the exact same situation as Dave, and it's occurred largely within science fiction, which means you can kind of make a little bit of shit up. But I kind of I think it's the walls thing, right? So the more difficult a situation is, the cooler the solution is, at least in my experience, when you figure it out. So Sean and I have a story of writing ourselves into an impossible corner where like nothing.
This is the most impossible corner ever.
It was something where we basically said, it's almost like we made a list. Could you do this? Could you do this? Could you do this? And then wrote in such a way that it struck them all out. And so it was the impossible corner. I really like those. There's one in Beam Season 2 with the character Kate that I really like, where she gets into a situation.
Yeah, that one's cool.
I had one this season that I don't remember what it was. And it's just like I almost go like this and rub my hands together when there's a Kirk, because I know something really cool is going to happen. So just a comment.
And as far as the selling art on... Oh, I'm sorry, Dave.
Dave, you could just kill everybody. That's a good solution.
Well, I am going to kill a few people, but I need at least one of them to survive.
It's the Stephen King and the Stand thing. You just have to let a bomb go off.
You just say Poochie died on the way to his home planet.
Well, the thing that makes the most sense is something that we used earlier in the book in a not very similar situation, but we can't do it twice. So
in this season or in the series?
This season.
Oh, then no. Okay.
I'd be curious in hearing this dilemma if you're
maybe afterwards.
Inform me later. Yeah. Tell me live is a big spoiler for season 6.
Yeah, as far as selling things online, DeviantArt possibly, and Etsy, those are the ones that come to mind. There might be more art-centered places that I don't even know about, though.
Yeah, I agree with Dave. I'd also add that I think there's a lot of free images online. I think that the people who really do well with their with selling images online have relationships with their audience. They sell prints or whatever. If you look, probably the kingpin of this would be the Oatmeal. I mean, that dude knows how to bond with his audience, and I don't know, his Kickstarter made like $1 trillion. I don't know what the total was.
I didn't realize that he was part of the Let's Build a Goddamn Tesla Museum already.
Yes. Yeah, he's just crazy, insane, awesome. Was that in bold, Johnny?
It was in bold, right? That story.
Early on, that dude, when that dude's comic first became popular, and he didn't have a lot of ways to monetize it. A lot of people are like leeching his images and like using them on their own website, but stealing directly from his bandwidth. And he got bills like that were hugely, insanely high. Like he's lucky that he didn't just like go bankrupt just from the website's popularity back then.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about that.
It's like $20,000. Yeah, it's like something insane. So.
All right, so those are actually let me play this one because I'm pretty sure we've already done it, and if it is, then I just want to make sure. And why figure it out later? Why not just do it live, right?
Hey guys, David Ulnerstu here.
Too late.
2 questions actually. The first one, I've got a 3-word title. First word is 6, and then I've used Sane and Queen.
Okay, we did that. He had odd words in his title. I remember answering that. Okay, so that clears the deck on voicemails. Except for the ones that are sitting up there that haven't made it down yet, we have to figure that out. So sorry about that if you're on voicemails. But other than that, we're good. So
all right,
as far as I'm concerned, we can go into
topic.
Sarah
asks, is Sean trying to get Dave hair?
Am I? No.
No,
it's just no, it's just it's a little it's too short to part or sweep or do anything with. So yeah, Dave and I are having a spike competition. Dave is winning, but
we're trying to get Johnny back over to the spiked hair, too.
I just keep growing it longer. I keep going in and they no, don't cut it. Don't cut it.
So do we want to get to topic or do we want to hit something off the dock?
Well, I think it's 20 after, and in the interest of being trim, and we just answered a bunch of Ask Us Anythings yesterday, my vote would be for moving forward.
Yeah, let's move forward.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, so big topic.
So I'll see you. Let me know when the ad comes up, and just like wave a light or something.
Ad? What are you talking about? So I titled this.
Discussion.
Selling more books, and this title is about to give Dave Wood. Selling more books with autoresponders, email segmentation, list segmentation, and email. You want to make that sound? Raw. But this is important because, as I've mentioned a few times, we have a really big job here at Sterling and Stone that will not be echoed by just about any of you. But probably the best way to listen to this is to say what is the intention behind what the S&S guys are doing, and how can I pull pieces of that and for my own situation. And it's going to be way easier for you than for us. But the purpose of an autoresponder series is to basically say, okay, you got somebody's attention. Now, how do you make sure they're... I loved when Tim Grahl was on, he said that the purpose of an autoresponder, and I love this definition, was to get everybody up to speed. So Tim's analogy was, imagine you're at a cocktail party and you're discussing a TV show that you like with somebody else, and somebody else walks up and says, hey, that sounds interesting. What are you talking about? And then you have to take a few minutes to get them up to speed. Or you're in the commercial break of an episode of Lost that's one season in, and okay, I have a minute. Let me explain to you about the smoke monster and the island and the crash, and you need to give them the high points. And so that's the purpose of a good autoresponder. And so the reason that this is so important is we just got a bunch of people interested in us at Realm and Sands for Invasion. Now those people a lot of them are encountering us for the first time. So they don't know about any of the other books. They don't know about the Unicorn Western line. They don't know about any of our nonfiction if they happen to be writers or artists. They don't know about the Dream Engine series. They don't know about the Beam, on and on and on. They also don't know about Collective Inkwell. If they're into Invasion, they might be into Yesterday's Gone or White Space. They're sort of similar vibes a little bit, and they're serialized. And so it has that page-turning nature. And then if they happen to have kids, they don't know about Guy Incognito. If they, there's all these things that we kind of want to make sure that they know about. And so an autoresponder properly structured for us gives them at least the opportunity to be introduced to all of those without shoving it down their throat. I'm going to pause now because I've said a bunch. Do you want to hop in?
Yeah, I'll just say that as we get into this discussion, I think Dave is a good avatar for a lot of listeners in this. And
wait, you said my name. Do I need to pay attention again?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that your eyes are already glazing over.
I'm just reading the comments. I'm looking for one that's actually relative to this discussion that was asked last night. So go ahead.
Well, yeah. So Dave just hates all this autoresponder stuff. And to be fair, like, he doesn't actually hate the idea of it. I think he just finds it kind of overwhelming. I think he likes the idea of having some kind of way to catch readers up to speed and to introduce them to new stories that we've written. And we've had conversations where, like, he does truly get it and he does like it, but it's overwhelming.
I like it. It's just like there's a lot of minutia in planning it, and you're handling it, so that's awesome. I can't handle it right now because right now I'm in Yesterday's Gone mode, and I can't separate myself to think about that. Otherwise, it just fucks me up. So
yeah, it is a very precise.
The minutia is hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a precise kind of writing, and there are a lot of details, and it is very easy to get lost in the weeds. And so as we're having this discussion, just don't get overwhelmed and think, oh my God, I have all this stuff to do, because we have so many more things that we're trying to accomplish with our list. Like Johnny just said, we're not just trying to get people familiar with our catalog, we're trying to get them familiar with us as a story studio. And we do want to let people know, if they read Invasion, we eventually want to give them the opportunity, which is basically we have a bunch of branches. There's a lot of crossroads you will reach on our autoresponder. So there's a point where they can make a decision to figure out if they want to go learn more about Collective Inkwell or Sterling and Stone, or if they just want the Realm and Sands experience. And so that's taken a lot to build. And so when you hear us talk about this stuff, just think about the little nuggets that apply to you that you can immediately pull out and say, I can use this for my writing business.
One more bit of expectation setting before we really delve in, and that would be if I were listening to this and I were a writer with one line or a few books or something like that, and I didn't have the complicated setup that we had, but I wanted to start doing more email and segmentation and tracking and autoresponders, I would probably listen to it in its entirety and just kind of hear it. Like I wouldn't.
Absorb.
I would just right. I would just like I wouldn't try and make notes or anything like that. I would just listen to it, and then I would listen to it again after I had kind of let it percolate and say, okay, well, this wasn't relevant to me, but this part is, and I would probably pull that out. And so we're going to try and keep this contained in terms of like how it. We aren't just going to try and spill it, but it will, to some degree, be kind of a mess. So
And,
that's the nature of it.
One last thing too before we divert here. This is both for nonfiction and fiction, and I think we'll talk about the fiction in just a second. But we're building out a smarter artist autoresponder also now, and it's again very precise, and there's a lot of things, and we're talking about all the different tools that we use. So there will be a part of the sequence that talks specifically about cover design, for example. What would we do with that part?
I have a question first before I answer that, and the question is for Dave. Dave, don't you hate it when Sean tries to get in on the ad read? Because I mean, I had some ideas, and now I'm like, well, so now I have to follow that up.
Yeah, I do hate it. Now I got to pay attention again. You're a bastard.
All right, well, let's try that again. The purpose of a good autoresponder is to answer frequent questions that you get. The only one of which I wouldn't know how to answer is, where would you get a good cover design?
Well, Dylan Perry asked that last night, and we were flummoxed. We didn't have an answer for him.
Well,
so
do you have his fear?
time.
Do you have his fear noted? Because he does have a phobia that we need to accommodate.
His fear of losing, yes. He had a fear of losing everything. And that is what'll happen if you don't use 99 Designs for your cover design. You could lose everything. I mean, just everything. Just like cancer will take over your family. You'll lose your house.
Wow,
Just, not really.
Do you say cancer will take over your house? I don't know that that's how that works.
I don't know.
Okay. Making sure.
Yes, a cancer will grow in your house. So anyway, 99 Designs. Why do we recommend them? Because they're awesome. We've used them several times for our books. 12, we used them for Dark Crossings, the
reading
collection.
12, and every time I pick up 12, I open, it opens to the text, and I'm like, you know what, I got to go look at that cover again. I'm just blown away. I just have to go back and look at the cover every time I read 12.
Yes, and that is what a good book cover does. It gets people to not only check out your book on Amazon. I mean, you're competing. You see it. You know those also bots underneath every book you look at? Well, those are all book covers vying for your attention. Do you want a shitty book cover that you threw together yourself, or do you want professional cover? I think you want a professional cover. And if you do, you go to 99 Designs, and they have tons of designers competing to give you the best cover. And the best part is,
What about that whole cancer concern?
No, I was talking out my ass. No, the best part is, though, other than getting it quickly, within a week or two. I mean, you do the contest, and it happens so quickly. A ton of designs to choose from. But the best part is, if you do
have a lot to lose, though, right?
No, that's the best part. You have absolutely nothing to lose. If you don't like the designs that the people are pitching, just walk away. Just walk away like they do in the movies. Just throw the match, let shit blow up behind you, and you walk away with your money in your pocket.
I did that once during, I thought I was going to do it during the 12 design contest before it got astonishing. I actually had my laptop, and I was going to drop it and yell truant out. And then I was like, wow, this just got awesome, and I have nothing to lose. So start your custom design today at 99designs.com/SPP. Be sure to use that link. It'll get you the free Power Pack upgrade, valued at, you guessed it, $99, which will get you more designer time and attention. So other than that, there's really no questions about autoresponders. So see you, everybody. All right, Sean, you're on the top. So here's maybe a good framing question, too, and we take this stuff for granted, but there's a decent chance that somebody out there is still going, what the hell are you talking about?
What?
Auto Chupa what now?
Okay, so I have a question relating to the whole email thing.
Okay.
Rachel Tolson last night, she says, so I just started listening to SVP, started with this year's, and I'll be working my way back. I really appreciate you guys. I've learned so much already. Thank you for sharing your expertise. Recently listened to the Nick Stevenson episode about email newsletters, and I wonder if you guys had any additional tips about email newsletters. I have no idea what to do with mine. I write kid lit and nonfiction, humorous parenting content, as well as serious content about what it's like to be a writer mom. I have 3 different newsletters, fiction and 2 nonfiction, but I just have a really hard time. 1, knowing what to put in them. 2, figuring out how frequently to send them without bombarding people who maybe signed up for all 3. And 3, enjoying writing them. 3 is probably mostly because of 1. So I know it's a lot of questions, but newsletters are the bane of my existence right now. That's probably melodramatic, but still.
That's actually slightly different than the autoresponders. But let's go ahead and address it. We will have more to say about because so then let's go back to the framing stuff. So there are 2 basic ways you can send email. I know this is a little 101, so bear with us if you already are like an email ninja. There are 2 basic ways you can do it. It doesn't matter whether you're using Aweber, which is what we use, or MailChimp or Constant Contact or any of those. There's still 2 basic ways that you can send emails. One is what's called a broadcast. At least that's Aweber's terminology, which means you have 100 people on your list and all 100 of them get it. You just send it right here, right now, or you can schedule it at a certain time when everybody gets it. The other way is what we're calling autoresponders. Aweber calls them follow-up messages. I don't know what MailChimp calls them, but basically the way that works is they're timed relative to when the person joins your list, so not everybody gets them at the same time. So if I join your list Monday, I will get an email right away after I join it that usually says something like, thanks for joining my list. If you have some sort of a list bribe, a free book or something, this is where you deliver the link to it. And then you might have the list owner, you might have a day 3 message, and it says deliver 3 days after that first one is when message number 2 delivers. So if I join your list on Monday, I'm going to get that message on Thursday. But if Sean joins your list on Wednesday, then he's going to get it on Saturday. So it's just relative to when you join the list, which is why it's a good getting people up to speed thing, because they aren't getting something that they have. They're always getting things in order, basically, with follow-up sequences.
So Merry Christmas shouldn't be in the autoresponder part.
No, that's a bad idea. And personally, and a lot of this, I think a lot of this is personality dependent. It's so, for example, that question asked, how often should I send it? I think
and she's asking about broadcasts.
She's asking about broadcasts. Now, personally, I think that broadcasts should wait until your sequence is over. Or at least it's been there a while, because it's like you don't want to see a new episode of Lost until you've kind of been caught up a little bit. You know what the hatch is. I think that an immediate broadcast as soon as somebody joins your list, and we actually made this mistake just this week.
And by we, I mean Sean means me. So, it was great. It was a great mistake. Got a whole bunch of new people and assaulted them with the broadcast right away.
Right. So all these people, we had our BookBev ad for Invasion on Sunday, and we got a lot of opt-ins because of that ad, and then they got that week a broadcast about something else. So it's a little confusing. It's a little disorienting, and they may have already got another. There's basically a little trail that you're leading them down. So I think it's best to kind of get some of that autoresponder stuff out of the way and just. Because you can filter it. So when you're sending a broadcast, you say, joined within the last, maybe you only send it to people who have been on your list for 30 days or more, or something like that, whatever your criteria is.
And that's a good practice across the board, I think, which I failed to do. I forgot to select that. It was just a mistake.
So I think that, but as far as the frequency of sending broadcasts, personally, I think once a week is great. But never, ever, ever waste your reader's time. Now, this is something that we've had a lot of struggle with at the Inkwell, because Dave wants to write the emails, like he genuinely does, but he doesn't always know what to say. He feels sometimes like he's wasting people's time. So there's an apologetic tone to the emails, which people don't like. You know, they love Dave. They really love Dave, and they want to hear from Dave, but they don't want to hear him apologizing for sending an
It's kind of
email.
like my approach to dating when I was in school. I would go up to girls saying, I know you probably won't like me, but you want to go to the dance?
It is like that, and it's off-putting. So a reader doesn't want that. A reader, you have to go into it a little bit with confidence. This is both in broadcast and autoresponders. Your email messaging needs to be confident. You need to understand that, sure, some people aren't going to like it, and that's okay. They'll get off your list, and they shouldn't be there anyway. We certainly see that on Realm and Sands. We'll get unsubscribes. You guys are too wordy. Like, you're sending too much email. But compared to the Inkwell list, the open rates are higher, the clicks are higher.
And you can't worry about the people who are going to leave, guys. You are going to get unsubscribes. You are. Don't try to not get them. Just
can you do a thing after somebody unsubscribes, like a list that says, "Hey, motherfucker, what was the problem?"
You can.
Awesome. All right, I want to write that one.
But I think that you
think you're better than me?
You just don't.
It'll be like a pop-up. Like each subsequent email can say, "Thought you got rid of us, didn't you? Unsubscribe to this one, bitch," and it sends them to another list.
And now we just subscribe you to 20 porn lists. You're welcome.
You just have to be unafraid to be yourself. And when you are emailing people broadcasts, make it something that's interesting. If they signed up for your list, it's because they are curious or because they wanted to hear from you in some way, whether that was because you were giving them a cookie or because they're interested in something specific you want to teach, whatever it is. But the thing that I've always told Dave that I think he understands it, but he has a hard time feeling like it's actually worth people's time, which is just share a little bit, because Dave will Slack us stuff all the time, like all the time, like a little rant with a video.
You saying I Slack too much?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying if you took 1 out of 10 of those Slacks and turned it into an email, it'd be awesome. But
I don't know if people really want to hear me ranting on our collective Inkwell list, do they?
No, but something like that you found that is like, hey, I found this.
Goddamn Benny Hinn!
Or how many times have you posted a trailer that, this looks like it's really cool?
Yeah.
You put a little bit of copy with that. I think this is cool and this is why. And because you like it and you wrote the book that they liked, there are some shared sensibilities there. And people, they want to feel close to the artists who create the art that they enjoy. And I think whether you're doing a broadcast or an autoresponder, that's the personality that you want to put into it. You can't be afraid to bond and be human and be yourself.
So the email that I sent this week, if you're on the Realm and Sands list, I liked that email a lot. Now I don't know if Sean liked it or whatever, but it was.
I actually didn't see it.
Oh well, fuck you, you unsubscribing bitch. It was an update basically, because people are getting the auto. And by the way, like, this actually breaks one of our rules, and we'll talk about this. And we decided what we wanted to do regarding broadcasts and autoresponders, but we're still in the middle. But it was one of those touching base sort of emails. I wanted to let people know that here's some cool stuff that's going on with Beam Season 3. If you release a book and nobody knew it was coming, good luck rallying fanfare. It's best if they they have a chance to have their appetites whetted. If you do, here's the cover for it, or I'm working on this really cool thing happened. And so I mentioned a few things in that email and just sort of let people know, like, here's some cool stuff that was said. And I think it was funny. Like, by my opinion, it was funny. But the thing about those sorts of things is, again, you will get unsubscribes. You will get people who just don't like you. You will get people who wanted the free book or whatever you're offering, and then they don't care about anything you send. So you will lose people. And so I always say, I'm going to choose which people I'm going to lose. Like, I'm going to alienate some people, so let me choose which people I alienate. And that doesn't mean being ranty and offensive, but it does mean just being true and saying, you know what, some people are not going to like this, and I'm fine with that. In general, readers will tend to like you if they like your books and they're on your list and they're the right people for you. So be you, basically. So do you want me to kind of map out like what we're doing with the autoresponders? What's the best way to begin this?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I would say stuff like Aweber or Pro Tools to the very end, if we even get there, because it's so, I don't know.
All right.
It's the weeds. Like,
well,
it's in general. Give as much.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and this took a long time to figure this out. Sean actually wrote. You may have listened a while ago and heard Sean talk about like the 60-part autoresponder that he was mapping out. We didn't use any of it. So all of that mapping out, maybe in time we will. The reason I think is because if you have a diverse catalog of any sort, the trick is you want to let people know about everything, but only if they want to know about it. Because then you want to be the signal, not the noise. And the problem that I had with an because what we were trying to do, okay, so here's the way our company is laid out in terms of email lists. We have a list for each imprint. Now, some of those, like Guy Incognito's list, that's the kids line, it hasn't really been fleshed out. But in the Final Reckoning, we have a list for each imprint. Were you waiting for Dave to sing the final countdown?
No, it just sounds so grandiose. The Final Reckoning.
The Final Reckoning. So there will be Collective Inkwell, Realm and Sands, Lexi Maxwell, LOL will have one eventually, the Max Power list, Guy Incognito, and then Smarter Artist, which is the non-fiction Right Publish Repeat list, basically. And then additionally, we had this mothership list, which is Sterling and Stone, and that's kind of the company list. And so because we have all these different things, and if you're a multi-genre writer, then maybe you think along these terms, is what we first try to do is to say, okay, let's get everybody on that main list, that Sterling and Stone list, and then they'll just hear about everything. But the problem with that is twofold. Number one, not everybody's going to be interested in everything. That's just not the way people are, a lot of them. And number two, autoresponders should be story-based, but it felt a little too indulgent to me. Like, if somebody wants to hear the story, they can read Writer Dad, or maybe we'll put some of that back in later. But I'm imagining like somebody comes to one imprint, we call Realm and Sands inquisitive fiction. So that's the kind of stuff, like everything we do, it may be multi-genre, but it's all kind of thinking. It asks questions. And so if somebody comes across any one of our books, we want to deliver what they expect first. And so each sequence has kind of a starter. So somebody joins at a book, and then there's a sequence of 8 or 9 emails, something like that do a few things. So they introduce, first of all, they deliver the cookie. So up until recently, our only cookie was Robot Proletariat Season 1, you get this when you join the list. And so people, they read a book, they read Unicorn Western or something like that, and then they get to the back and it says, or the front as well, hey, would you like a free book? Join the list to get Robot Proletariat. So they're signing up, they're clicking on a link in the book, they're going to a page on our website, they're filling out a form, and then they're added to the list. And the first email delivers that bonus. The first email says, okay, here's a link to where we have uploaded your copy of Robot Proletariat Season 1. Then there's an email that goes out the next day that basically checks in. Did you get it? Just want to make sure. And a lot of people have been responding to those, which is great.
Yeah, response on that is high. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, thank you, Amy, for handling those. I think that may also be the one. I think that's actually the next one. So I'll just continue. So those are the first two, but then each autoresponder has a day. Because the way that we are structured, if somebody ends up being on multiple lists, we don't want them getting multiple lists on the same day. And the only way to do that was to give each list a day. So, for instance, Realm and Sands list day is Thursday. That's when all of the autoresponder emails go out, except for the first two. First two go out the day you join and the next day. But then the next Thursday, you get something that's just kind of like, hey, here's who we are. Here's what we stand for. I'm introducing, I'm John. I wrote them all. They're all in my voice. So I'm Johnny. Sean's my partner. And just kind of introduces us. And then I think the next one is, a little bit more of our story. And the next one after that is probably a little more of our story. So they're hearing from us every Thursday, basically. After that sequence, we send them, okay, you've now had several weeks to get used to us. Now we can overwhelm you a little bit. We don't say it in those terms, but like you've kind of gotten an intro. You've gotten to the what kind of Realm and Sands reader post, what kind of Realm and Sands reader are you post on our blog. which explains a little bit about the varying things we do. So they've had time to kind of get used to us. And then at this point, we feel comfortable saying, okay, well, we're one imprint of 6. Here's a brief outline. If you're interested in kind of getting a sampler platter of all of them and just hearing the high points of all of them, join the Sterling and Stone list. So that's our nexus. And then all of the imprints have that leader sequence that kind of terminates in, it doesn't terminate, it has that junction point where they can then join the Sterling and Stone list as well as the list they were on, or just stay where they are. So I'm going to pause at that point because I'll just let Sean go if there's anything you want to hop in on.
No, I mean that's the tool that I was referring to earlier.
No, it's actually not. It's an opt-in because they have to join.
Oh, that's not. But doesn't
site.
it automatically unsubscribe you once you?
Dave has just posted a Peanuts comic where Peppermint Patty is asleep and Charlie Brown is with her, and the teacher is going wah 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 wah.
Dylan Perry said, "I imagine this is Dave's brain when Sean and Johnny talk autoresponders."
Yeah, it kind of is. And what's funny is, anyway, yeah. So that is pretty straightforward. But if you're thinking about you and you only have, let's say, one series or one line or one pen name, there's just one path for them to go down. You don't ever have to think about that branch. This is actually a pretty straightforward thing. You're using this sequence. If they join on and I like the day of the week thing. Even if we didn't have the 6 different imprints, I think choosing a day of the week is just smart. When Collective Inkwell, we were doing serials and we had weekly releases, it was always on Tuesday. That kind of consistency really breeds just a warm familiarity.
Contempt.
It gives your ideal reader kind of a chance to anticipate and look forward to your email. And you will see if you're consistent and you always mail on Thursday and you don't mail on a Thursday, you'll get emails on Friday. Where was your email? So.
I got 2 questions regarding this. Thomas Bennett says, "Hey, I'm on all your mailing lists. Is there one where I can get everything so there's minimal overlap? I'll email Amy."
Yeah, email Amy. So again, I know people want to know about the structure of our autoresponder because they've asked, but I'm trying not to give too much detail. I think that the answer, by the way, Thomas, is going to be that the Sterling and Stone list, the one for the sterlingandstone.net, gets at least a mention of just about everything, but then they don't get more depth. So if we email once about book 4 in the Invasion series, the Sterling and the Stone group will hear it, but they won't hear if we mail a second time. Only Realm and Sands will get that.
And you won't get the sparkling personality of the Inkwell letters.
You won't get the sparkling personality of the Inkwell letters.
There is a technical question. Are you guys using AW Pro Tools or something like that to run people through the onboarding AR and then shift them to your main list for your regular broadcasts after the AR is completed?
That's an advanced question. Remind me about that one when we get to the end. That's what Sean told me to wait on. That is the advanced tool. The answer is yes. But I can describe that a little more. I'm sort of paused because I wanted to readjust. I think that maybe a good mid-level way to look at this is, so we just had J.A. Huss on last week on the last show, and she writes romance, and she also writes science fiction. And so if you were an author like that and you had sort of 2 primary genres that you write, then maybe this would be something you'd want to do, where you kind of introduce, okay, well, so you learned about me from romance, and here's the romance emails, and then, hey, do you want to know about science fiction too? Because you can also join that other list, that sort of thing. I think that might be a good way to do it. Now, I don't think it makes sense to just branch off in every way. Hey, did you like Unicorn Western? Join the Unicorn Western list, and that's all I'll talk about. Like, don't get crazy.
Yeah, it gets really unwieldy really fast.
So anyway, to continue this thought, so once they reach that branching point email where they can join the Sterling and Stone list, which is the master list and sort of is a sampler platter of all of them, they are joining that list as well. So they're remaining on the imprint list. And then the imprint list then continues. So some people will stay on and say, some people say I don't care about Sterling and Stone. I don't care about learning about Lexi Maxwell and Collective Inkwell and LOL and all this stuff. I'm a Realm and Sands reader, that's what I want to know. That person will just keep getting Realm and Sands emails. But the person who joins that other list will then get them both. they'll continue to get Realm and Sands, and they'll continue to get Sterling and Stone list emails as well. And so our job, once we're past that, is to introduce them to the line. So there's an email that sort of says, hey, I think the subject line of the email is if you liked Invasion. And it talks about how, a lot of people who joined this list probably did from Invasion. People ask what else should they read, what else in our line might they like, and then I talk about the Beam. And I show the Beam cover, and it includes buy links if they want to go check out the Beam. And you can do that over the course of weeks and months, just sort of maybe one email a week or something like that, where you're dripping it over time. So it's not like, bleh, here's all my books right now, absorb them all right now. That's kind of the idea. But just the way that this is supposed to work, and then I'll back away from the complexity a little bit, is because we do have 6 lines and a master list, we want any one entrance point to have the potential to expose them to everything in the company if they want it. So somebody could join...
Without ever bombarding anybody if they don't.
If they don't want it. Because the original conception had us... it would have had us telling everybody about Lexi Maxwell from the same list. And they might have just been a Realm and Sands reader and they don't give a shit about Lexi Maxwell. And you don't want that. So the way that this works, the reason I like this is because they're given... If somebody joins with Invasion, they can say, I just want to hear Realm and Sands. That's all I care about. But if they are interested in something else, then they will also join the Sterling and Stone list, which over time will introduce them to all the other imprints. So somebody could join from the back of a Collective Inkwell book because they're a dark fantasy reader or sci-fi reader, and they could end up on Lexi Maxwell's Street Team, which is something I haven't even gotten to yet, just because everything will touch everything else in the Final Reckoning. Do you want me to talk about the Street Team stuff? I feel like I'm just diarrhea on this.
Well, yeah, but I don't know that there are other ways to deliver the information. It is a drier subject. It's not exactly talking about story structure or something, which is much more conversational. This is selling on autopilot, and it's bonding on autopilot. That's why it's important. Every author should at least understand the basics here. So yeah, I think that's a great transition.
Okay, so the newest thing that we've introduced is the idea of a street team. And do you want me to dissect like how we decided with the onboarding and all that stuff?
Yeah, because I think that's kind of novel. I don't think a lot of people are doing it, and I think it's important.
Took us a while to puzzle it out.
It took a long time to puzzle it out, but I think that the solution is great. I think it's effective, and I think that I really think it's worth exploring. So yeah.
Okay, so we want a street team, much like Julie Huss talked about on the last show as well, and there's a few ways you can do a street team, and Julie actually handles it differently than we thought she did. But most people, like I know Mark Dawson does it this way. It's basically your street team and your ARC list, your advanced review copy list, is sort of the same list. That's the way a lot of people handle it. Now the challenge with that is that if you send out advanced review copies, the nature of people is that a whole lot of them just won't be reviewers and will end up on that list because they want to get free books. And that doesn't feel fair to me if you never review. Like, you don't need to necessarily review everything, but if you're taking free books as part of a street team, like, that's kind of the deal. Like, you're going to leave a review. So we wanted a quasi-automated process that would separate the wheat from the chaff and would allow people to join the street team, but not if they weren't qualified in some way. So the way our street team mailing list currently works, and we'll refine this as we go, is there is an email that will be further down the stream in any one of these imprint autoresponder series. So if you're, again, taking the Realm and Sands example, you've joined in the book, you've gotten a few emails, you've had the opportunity to join Sterling and Stone 2, then you've gotten a few more emails on the Realm and Sands list if you stayed on it, which I guess everybody does unless they unsubscribe. And then you get an offer, hey, would you like to get our books for free as part of our street team? If somebody's interested in that, what it does is moves them to a temporary list. It adds them. So they're still on Realm and Sands, but they're now also joining this temporary street team list, where there's a few emails that basically give them the lowdown of how this will work. Like, here's the street team review process is one of the emails. Here's what will happen. Another is a few videos that Garrett shot, screen capture videos that show how to leave a review, because a lot of people don't understand that, and how to grab the review URL so that you can let us know that you left a review. And like how to sideload your Kindle. Like there's just a few educational emails. It's not a long sequence. And then the final email in that sequence says, okay, try it out. Here's a form where you can submit just any review you ever left for any of our books. Like you got a free one when you joined the list. You know, we have a bunch of free books that you can get. We just want to know that people are reviewers. Go ahead and enter it in this form. If they submit that form, they're graduated to a third list, another list that is the official Street Team list. If they don't fill out the form, they continue on the same one. And they get 1 or 2 reminder emails, because the only people who are still on that list at that point have not graduated, because they're off it, and they're onto the official Street Team list if they filled out the form. And we're doing this using Pro Tools, which I'll mention in a bit. And so they get another reminder, and then I think eventually they get a third, and it's just like, hey, noticed you haven't filled out the form. We really need to make sure people are reviewers. Maybe there were tech problems. If you're having trouble, then email Amy. Maybe you've gotten a book that you haven't gotten a book that you want to review yet. We'll just ask us for one. Amy will send you one. So basically, they get adequate chances to submit that form, and then if they reach the end of that list and they haven't submitted, then eventually we'll just go purge people eventually, because it means they're not reviewers. They aren't giving us proof that they've reviewed. And really interestingly, only about 30% of people end up graduating, which shocked me.
Yeah, that didn't surprise me too much, but I think that's really important. Like that's what you want to pay attention to there, because everybody will say they want to be a part of your review crew. Free books, all right, right? But that's not. It's not your business to just give away free books to everybody who asks. And the internet's really easy too. Reply here to get free books. Okay, right? But actually having to leave reviews and put that little bit of proof behind it, it just leaves you with a much better Street Team. And that's what you want, because it's a real letdown to know. Let's say you put 100 people on your Street Team list and you go to launch a book, and then you end up with 8 reviews. That's really disheartening, and you don't want that. You want to know that the people on your list have a reasonable chance of leaving a review because you know they've left a review before. But if you give people, chance after chance after chance, and they don't do the basic things that will move them from list A to list B, then you don't want them on list B, and that's okay. They can be on the other list and stay there. But it does take a little bit of work to set up and to kind of puzzle out, like Johnny said, but it is so worth it, because it really will give you, a stronger Street Team. So we're getting, it's a slower build for sure, but who cares? It's a better build.
It'll be a better quality list. And you may be listening to this and wondering where broadcasts are. So that email that that comment that Dave read originally was about broadcasts. And this was another thing that we puzzled out. It took us a while to decide on it. And with the exception of the email that I screwed up yesterday, we've made a decision that we actually aren't, once these are established, which they're still establishing, like we're still adding emails to the end of Realm and Sands. I don't know how far along Collective Inkwell is. I'll be starting on Smarter Artists soon. Lexi's is a few emails shy of the Street Team email. So it's a slow build. But once we have them set up, we will only send broadcasts to people who've been on that list for 90 days. Now that's a bit of a sacrifice, because it means if we have a new release, we've got 90 days worth of new subscribers that aren't going to get that email. And we can tell them about it in the autoresponder down the road, but it does lessen our broadcast. But we decided to trade off for a better reader experience, because they're already getting a weekly email in the autoresponder, and if we're hitting them with broadcasts too early, then we do risk pissing them off. Now, once they're on the list for a while, if you've stayed with us for 3 months, you probably don't mind too much if you get 2 emails, in 1 week or something like that. So that is what we've decided on broadcasts, but again, it's not fully implemented yet. I can talk segmentation, since somebody asked about that, and those of you who are rolling your eyes at this point can tune out. Like, I feel a little apologetic because this is very nuts and bolts.
See you later.
No, but it is, and let us know. Let us know if you like this kind of show, because I know it is drier, and we tend to just do the conversational stuff, which is fun and it's more natural and all of that. But this is nuts and bolts, and it is important. And this is directly, how do I leverage my catalog to, make my readers love me more and sell more books? And I think that's really important. Whether you write fiction or nonfiction, this is important stuff.
Yeah, there's a reason that we have been talking about this for forever and just keep banging away at this huge project. And the reason is because once your autoresponder series becomes developed enough, then you're giving any new person who encounters you in any way and joins that list an opportunity to see everything. So if you have a 50-book back catalog of standalones, let's say you're a romance writer who writes standalones and you have 50 back catalog titles, if you don't have an autoresponder series, you're sort of hoping that they'll chance across that. But if you do, then you can have 50 emails, which I wouldn't sell every week, but you know what I mean, like over time, that will introduce people who are predisposed to like your catalog to those books. And so there isn't a lot that you can say like profit on autopilot, because that's just not how we talk about our fiction here, but it is kind of like it is. It's a chance to get them on the list once, and then they're caught up on everything.
It's certainly greatly amplifying your odds. I mean, if you think about it, most readers are a little bit lazy. They have to love your book to go out and see what else you've written, because it's just too easy. It is way too easy. Other authors will be telling them where to go next. If you're not telling them where to go next, the odds of them just being on Amazon or Apple or Kobo or Barnes & Noble and just thinking about, oh, I really like that book, let me see what's next, are greatly reduced. So
it's not even just being lazy. It's a matter of capturing them the moment that they think, wow, I really like that book.
Right,
I would like another one.
Exactly.
Because they might not be in a spot to go and look up another book maybe. But if it's in the back of your Kindle book, just saying, hey, it's easier to rememper and probably
it's
easier.
It's so much easier. And if you get that email reminder, the inbox is an infinite place, and it's a good place to develop that relationship and to I will check that book out. And here's a really good example. I loved J.A. Hess's 321. Right, I read that, but I didn't go out and buy another one of her books, even though I really liked it. I liked it a lot. I have so much to read on my Kindle that even though I really enjoyed that book, I didn't go out and buy another one. I have since bought another one, but it's because she was on the show last week and she was awesome. So I wanted to buy something else from her. But if she hadn't been on the show, I probably wouldn't have bought another book, even though I really liked that book. So, but if I was on her list and she told me about a book, I'd be very likely to buy that book. So it's it's an environment that you want to foster that relationship with.
And people are also just forgetful too. Like I'm always telling people, look, remind me about that, or I got to set something to remind myself. I'm just not going to remember it. So there's that. So segmentation. Again, just let us know if you guys like this. But we're using something called Aweber Pro Tools. It may or may not. The answer is yes, probably, Sean. We should wrap after this. I'll just call out your comment.
Awesome.
Because I think segmenting your list is important, and by segmenting we're talking about sort of saying, this pool of people is interested in this, and this pool is interested in this. Because one of the things that I didn't mention was that I think that the second email after they get the book, basically, I think says, tell us how you found us. And a lot of people respond to that. Amy handles those, and we tell them, Amy will handle them for you. But Amy will probably respond, hi, Amy, she's awesome, that sort of thing. And Amy, make sure we see all of them. But I've been kind of floored seeing where people find us. Like a surprising number of people say, I saw you on BookBub, I joined your list. Somebody told us the other day that they were on iBooks and found Invasion in the related materials book for the book The Host, which is the author of Twilight, Stephanie Meyer. That's her book. And I went and looked, and we were one of the top science fiction books, and sure enough. And so I wouldn't have known that. we're learning that people are coming from Kobo and
I got an
Nook
email. I got an email from somebody saying they found us our website URL on a glory hole over a glory hole in the bathroom. I don't know if it's something you wanted to know.
But it does tell you a lot about your people. So one of the things that we've started doing is what Pro Tools does, and this is way more complicated than anybody wants to hear. If you're interested in it, it's awprotools.com, and you can, if you obviously have to be an Aweber. Rainmaker,
it's also another paid tool. So if you're one of those writers who is already unhappy that you're spending $19 a month for the basic Aweber account, your Pro Tools totally is not for you.
And a lot of people may not need this too. So just listen to this in the same spirit as we said before. But I think Rainmaker is going to add some of this and probably undo all my hard work with Pro Tools. But the point is that basically what it allows you to do is two basic things. It allows you three basic things. It allows you to you send links to your list. It's kind of like if you've ever used a short link, like a bit.ly or something, where you enter a long link and they give you a short link to use that then tracks clicks. Pro Tools is kind of like that. You say, where do you want this link to go? And then it performs some actions, and then you take the Pro Tools link, the different link, and you use that in one of your email broadcasts or autoresponders. And so there are three basic things you can do. You can either move somebody to a new list, which is what we were talking about before, meaning that they come off the old list and onto a new one. That's what occurs with the street team onboarding sequence to the real street team. You can copy them, meaning that they're added to a new list. So if we mentioned Collective Inkwell in a Realm and Sands email, we don't want them leaving Realm and Sands, we just want them also getting Collective Inkwell, so they would be added to the list. And the third thing it lets you do is tag, and this is where segmenting comes in. So if we send out a broadcast, like we just sent one a little while ago about Colonization's release, that's the third book in the Invasion series, we include 4 links right now. Actually 5. Amazon US, Amazon UK, iBooks, Nook, and Kobo. And each of those is a Pro Tools link. If they click buy it on Apple iBooks, it adds a tag to that person in Aweber that says Apple. And if they click Kobo, then they become Kobo. And so if we wanted to send something, we have a few exclusive bundles coming up. Like we have a Kobo exclusive bundle, one in Nook, 2 in Kobo, 1 in Nook, and 1 in Apple. And when we send to the list, it doesn't make sense to send it to everybody. So we can say just send it to the Apple people. That sort of thing. I'm pausing.
Yeah. Well, that's a fire hose of information today. So all of that, just again, parse it out and take the stuff that is really relevant to you.
If you have questions about it, save them for the next Ask Us Anything, maybe.
Yeah. Sarah Negovedic says, "Don't worry about being dry. This is great information."
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
Normally it's Dave with the self-hate, but today I think it was Johnny. Like, oh, too much information.
She asked how we handle the difference between our readers and SPP crowd. Do we try to merge those as well? Is that what the Smarter Artists list would be for, though?
Yeah, it's the same thing, actually. So the Smarter Artist is just one of the 6 imprints. So we haven't built this yet. If you join the Smarter Artist list, the Repeaters list, which is at the back of Write, Publish, Repeat, you will get a welcome email, I think. But that's it. Like there's just the one. And we will build that out. We will add subsequent emails. We'll add a list bribe and all that stuff. And
we actually have that beat, and we'll write it as soon as we can. But as it's kind of company policy that we put fiction first. So we're building out our fiction autoresponders, and then we'll do Smarter Artists because we just don't want to be the nonfiction company.
And for you nonfiction authors, a nonfiction autoresponder is money. Like there's just more stuff. There's just more stuff to refer. Like you can be an affiliate and stuff. Now you need to be ethical when you do that sort of shit, but it's the truth. There's just more money there. So to answer her question, you would receive basically the same thing. Like here's the introduction to the Smart Artist, and you would get an opportunity to say, hey, we don't just talk to people about self-publishing. We also publish 5 fiction imprints. Are you interested in learning about the others? And they can join the Sterling and Stone list as well, which would then introduce them to all the other imprints. Do you want me to read this, Dave? There's a question.
I know if that's something that we know about or what. I can read it.
Yeah, go ahead and read it.
Kate Morgan asks, how do you guys link your newsletter and your ebooks for Apple, seeing as they have a quarantine on outside links?
I don't believe they have a quarantine on outside links at all. I think that they have a quarantine on competing links.
Like if you link to an Amazon book?
Yeah, they won't let you link to.
And they'll get that every single time. Like there have been times when I'm like, I didn't even know I had one. It was like the about
they'll
the author.
Let you know.
Yeah, they'll let you know. You can link to your page. So our solution for newsletters and actually all calls to action now is to the Sterling and Stone site, where we then have further, so like if you just finished Contact, the call to action for colonization is a page on Sterling and Stone that has links to all of our major retailers to buy it.
Which is great because that, again, gets you a chance to bond with them, to make them familiar with your site and your personality, and all of that's good. My only parting words on all of this is this might be an episode worth listening to twice because it is a lot of information, and you might want to just, again, pull out the stuff that's most relevant to you. But as you're doing this, as you're building out your autoresponder, as you're thinking about your broadcasts, as you're thinking about how can I best communicate with my ideal reader, just don't be afraid to be yourself, but also really make it about the reader. And we try to do that as much as possible, even though, yes, we want them to be familiar with our company and our stories and our different lines and specific books at specific times. We also want it to be fun for them. You have to reward your reader either by being, one thing that I think Johnny is great at, the emails are long, but they're funny, and people like to laugh. And we get a lot of replies on those emails that are, this made me laugh. Even sales emails, will make people laugh.
Especially sales emails.
So whatever is your special sauce, maybe you're not funny, but
be helpful then. So right. Nick Stevenson's emails are great. Like they're so helpful that I know a lot about self-publishing, but I made a label in Gmail so that I could make sure I kept track of Nick's emails. Selfpublishingpodcast.com/10K. He has the free. Now he does a product that he sells at the end, but the free lead-up emails are great, and those are the ones I'm talking about where they're just so helpful. Like you want to read all of those because you're like, well, shit, I'm going to learn something.
Yeah, you want to be advertising that's too good to throw away, really. That's basically what Johnny's saying there. That works better for nonfiction than fiction because that's actually reference material. But for fiction, just make them laugh, make them care. If Dave was doing the CI newsletter in that way, he
would make them fear.
No, but people would look forward to it because, I wonder what movie trailer he's came across this week that was awesome. Because if they like the things that he shares with them, they're going to want to open those emails. You absolutely the one wrong way. There aren't a lot of wrong ways to do this, but there is one for sure, and that's always making it about you. That's only
always
emailing
selling
when you have something to sell. That just makes you a dick, and it makes people not want to read your emails. So just make sure that you're sharing with treat them like friends. And
that's actually what I was going to say when you were talking about Dave not knowing what to send. Is say, would I send this email?
So I don't have friends.
Right. Foreign concept.
If Dave treated our emails like Slack with a really heavy filter, then I think that would be great. So anyhow, just listen to the show and kind of mine the gems that are specifically applicable to you, and we will handle a lot of specific questions on the next Ask Us Anything, which will be at the end of June.
And my parting shot on segmentation, if that does catch your interest at all, is just remember you can be real creative with that. You can tag people that bought a certain book. These are invasion buyers. These are Unicorn Western buyers. You can tag them by interest areas and
This is redacted buyer.
Right. And in that case, we use mentally unstable as the modifier because you can mail to any of those segments, and so that's what's so important is you can say just these people. So Anyway, so that's it. No final words beyond that. Yeah?
I think BOU today is going to be Dave bitching about autoresponders.
No, it's going to be Dave bitching about. I know what he's going to bitch about. He's going to bitch about.
And we got to do it quick because I got to go pick up my wife soon. So.
All right. So this has been the I know this has been the self-publishing podcast. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Need to come up with a new call to action, but for now, I suppose you could join the repeaters email list. Why don't you do that? You'll learn about Ask Us Anythings and stuff. It's at selfpublishingpodcast.com/repeater, I believe, is the URL. If not, it's just on the main SPP, selfpublishingpodcast.com page. So thanks for listening, everybody, and we will see you next week. If I was more organized, I'd know who it is, but I don't. So see you then.